News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:03. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Logan Extermination. It was about this time yesterday that the call first came in as a fire destroyed a barn and approximately 120,000 chickens died at Oakdale Egg Farms in Lewiston. Cache County Fire Marshal Jason Wynn said employees at the farm called 911 reporting smoke coming from the roof of one of the buildings. Due to the size of the blaze, firefighters from every department in the valley, including Franklin County, were dispatched to the farm near 2500 South, 1600 West.
We were able to get on scene, grab somewhat of a water supply, start putting water on the fire. Basically, get enough water that we could keep the fire from spreading to any other barn.
Fire produced a thick plume of smoke that could be seen for miles throughout the valley. Due to the remote location, firefighters did not have enough water to put out the fire. Additional tender units were paged to the farm to help transport water to the scene and assist in the extinguishing efforts. Wynn said the 20,000 square foot barn was built of wood with a tin roof. Because of concerns that the building could collapse, firefighters could not enter inside and had to establish a defensive strategy.
There's no way that we're going to put anybody inside a barn, so it was pretty tough. And so that tin is the hardest thing to fight fire. It doesn't burn away like a roof would, so we could get in the middle of it. Basically, all we did is we found holes and put water in the holes and kept it from, going to any other buildings.
The barn was a complete loss. Crews brought in a bulldozer to tear down the remaining parts of the building and put out any hot spots. Wynn said firefighters were successful containing the fire to the one barn. It could take investigators several days to determine what started the fire. All of the employees were able to evacuate the barn safely, and no firefighters were injured. KVNU News Time is 4:05. KVNU weather for tonight, mostly cloudy skies and a slight chance of rain showers after midnight. Low in the mid-40s. Chance of rain showers Thursday morning, then rain showers and a chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon on Thursday. High temperature in the lower 60s. Slight chance of showers Thursday evening, and then 40% chance of showers after midnight. Rain showers likely Friday morning. Rain showers, chance of thunderstorms Friday afternoon, only mid-50s for the high. It's been to 74 today, and right now it's 73 at KBNU. U&I Furniture has been located in the same place for 94 years. That doesn't happen unless you're doing something right. For 94 years, family-owned and operated. There is always a better buy at U&I. Downtown Logan, 28 West, 1st North.
The bugs love the good weather. I'm guessing you have a bunch of those creepy crawlers waiting patiently to come into your cozy home. Let Logan Extermination take care of those unwanted pests with a monthly exterior spray. Now, for a limited time, they'll spray your home's exterior monthly from April to October for only $65 per month for a 2,000 square foot or less home. Call Logan Extermination before your home becomes enemy territory. Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
KVNU News Time is 4:06. Residents of a Salt Lake County neighborhood were evacuated after large amounts of explosive material were found inside one home. Officials with Unified Fire Authority described the amount of ancient dynamite found at the home as substantial. Captain Tony Barker said the dynamite had been in the family's possession for generations. Crews were called to the home in Holiday on Tuesday after a resident called a friend over for advice on how to remove the explosives. Hazmat teams and bomb squad members responded to the scene, along with people from the Utah Department of Health, EPA, Salt Lake Valley Emergency Communications Center, UFA, and other agencies. Barker said there did not appear to be any malicious intent with the explosives. The bomb squad expected to conduct a controlled detonation to dispose of the dynamite. And in cooperation with Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater, the Cache Valley Interfaith Choir will host a benefit concert Thursday, May 2nd. Entitled "There's No Business Like Show Business," the event takes place at 7:30 p.m. in the Utah Theater. Despite its name, the benefit concert will feature performances of both new and old Broadway hits. All ticket sales will benefit the Festival Opera Company. In addition to the 24 members of the Cache Valley Interfaith Choir, the event will feature vocal performances by local favorites Vanessa Ballum, Stefan Espinoza, and Laura Siepert. Tickets for the show are on sale for $20 per person. KVNU News Time is 4:08. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Breaking news, stimulating talk. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Devotion to country, service to Utah. Brent Orrin Hatch had a front row seat watching his father serve our state faithfully in the Senate. A constitutional conservative and lifelong Republican, Brent Orrin Hatch is a champion for the rule of law. He's running for Senate to stop this lawless president from destroying our country from within. Hatch will fight to secure the border once and for all and take on Mexican drug cartels to halt the flow of deadly fentanyl. Brent Orrin Hatch knows the national debt is just as big a threat to national security. Hatch won't rest until the budget's balanced and won't cave to the big spenders in both parties. Pro-life, deeply committed to religious liberty, rock-solid Utah conservative. Brent Orrin Hatch for Senate. Paid for by Conservative Outsider PAC, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.copac.us.
Hi, this is Paulette of Valley Recycling. Our annual Earth Day event, April 22nd through the 27th, will be offering bonus pricing on aluminum cans, old automobiles, appliances, copper, aluminum, steel, and other metal scrap. Bring it to Valley Recycling at 145 North 10th West in Logan. All customers will receive Firehouse Subs and Cafe Sabor food coupons and be entered to win giveaways from other local vendors. Valley Recycling's Earth Day event, Monday, April 22nd through Saturday, April 27th. For pricing and information, go to valleymetalrecycling.com.
This is Sweetwater Window Cleaning. Now spring is here, you'll be wanting to reclaim your home from all that dirt and grime. Why not have us take care of the window cleaning for you? I'm sure you've got plenty on your to-do list already. And let's face it, when you climb that dangerous ladder to clean your own windows, they never come out as good as you'd like. Let us give you that safe, crystal clean, professional results you want. Mention this ad and we'll remove hard water for free.
Sweetwater Window Cleaning, 3636543, 3636543.
DD Auto and Salvage has seen hundreds of you taking advantage of big money for junker vehicles and scrap metal. It's Earth Week, and DD Auto and Salvage is going to continue to give the highest possible price for junk vehicles and metal. Clean it up and get it out during Earth Week. To celebrate Earth Week, DD Auto and Salvage is providing a free barbecue lunch Saturday from 10 to 3. Everyone is welcome. Happy Earth Day, Cache Valley, from DD Auto and Salvage, 1976 West, 200 North Logan on Valley View Highway.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Wednesday, April 24th. I'm Jason Williams. Bill Walter is in the studio. I am not. I am actually away today, so we're going to be revisiting some of our interviews with candidates over the next couple of hours, from those who are still in a competitive race to those who have won outright. We've had a chance to check in with almost all of them. And starting tomorrow, when we're back live, we'll be firing up our candidate spotlights again, headed into the June 25th primary. Again, delegates at the Cache GOP convention sending a clear message to incumbents with one incumbent outright losing his race at the convention and two others sent into primaries with relative political newcomers. The message was pretty loud, and so we'll have a chance to check in with both the incumbents and the challengers in those still competitive races, and we'll start doing that tomorrow on the program right after Charlie Schill sits down with us for our weekly For the People Theater Hour at 4. So be sure to be back with us tomorrow live, but today, if you missed these interviews, if you didn't get a chance to hear from Representative John Curtis and former State House Speaker Brad Wilson back-to-back, an opportunity to contrast them as the two frontrunners in this United States Senate race. Today is your day, so stay tuned. One quick item to get to here right out of the gate, because what lawmakers decide to do about this is going to be interesting and quick. But there is a chance we see a special session evolving around this. What's it all about? Well, fireworks late yesterday as the Utah State Board of Education said they had received zero guidance from the legislature in response to questions they had about the quote-unquote trans bathroom bill. This is a bill that I'll just be blunt. This is a political bandwagon, and Utah lawmakers jump on them as much as anybody does in politics these days. I wish they'd all quit, but it's kind of one of those, if everyone else is jumping on the bandwagon and you don't, that could hurt you, so you've got to jump on. And unfortunately, it means some of these issues that are just political campaigns to raise money for the parties become legislation in state legislatures. It happens in blue states, too. It's not just Republicans, but it's unfortunate that it happens anywhere. Either way, this was one of those bills. It was a bill that, the bathroom bill as we know it, and it set some really vague and kind of in some cases completely redundant and contradictory rules for restrooms in public facilities and public education classrooms, or schools rather, in every district. And there's been a lot of attempts this week, as the law is about to go into effect, to understand it. And journalists reached out to the State Board of Education and said, hey, you're the ones that have to implement this starting next week. What's your take on what the bill means and how it should be implemented? To which a state school board member shrugged and said, we have not been getting responses from the legislature with our questions for guidance on how to implement this law they passed that she nodded, said is at times contradictory and hard to interpret. That, of course, set off a firestorm. The sponsor was immediately defensive, and the Senate sponsor, Senator Dan McKay, was twice as defensive, but leadership did not come to their aid. So now, as things have evolved, 12 hours later, there are calls for a special session for clarity. There are administrators now starting to speak out today about the confusion around the bill. There are some saying, let's actually just go back to the drawing board and delete this whole thing. I don't have any predictions on what will happen, but I know that unexpectedly the pressure on the legislature to clean up what has apparently become a very confusing culture war bill passed by the legislature earlier this year, and that pressure for them to do something to clarify the bill or just scrap it and start over increased quite a bit yesterday, with the school board saying they hadn't been receiving responses to their questions for guidance from the legislature on their own bill. So check out some of the coverage in the Salt Lake Tribune and Deseret News on this as it's evolved over the last 24 hours, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
Riley Crosby, President and Lead Wealth Advisor at Adams Wealth Advisors, has been recognized as a recipient of the prestigious 40 Under 40 Award from Utah Business Magazine. Riley is a standout in the financial planning industry, holding rigorous titles like Certified Financial Planner and Licensed Certified Public Accountant. With Riley, you're not just a client, you're family. Congratulations, Riley. Search Adams Wealth Advisors for more details. Awarded by Utah Business Magazine on 2/24 based on entries from September to November 23. No compensation to Utah Business Magazine was given for entry or the use of the 40 Under 40 Award.
Do you know a champion in our community? Nominate them for the KVNU Above and Beyond Salute. Every Friday morning at 8:30, we'll spotlight a firefighter, law enforcement officer, healthcare worker, or other deserving individual and give them a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs. Submit your nominations for the Above and Beyond Salute by visiting kvnutalk.com. Help us recognize the champions in our communities. The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs on News Talk KVNU, the voice of Northern Utah.
This is the Sean Hannity Show.
There's one thing going into this election year we've got to just stand back and marvel at. All conventional political gravity that would normally apply to a presidential candidate does not apply to Donald Trump. They have made Donald Trump. They've done the impossible. A fighter like Donald Trump, they've turned into a sympathetic figure.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 on News Talk KVNU.
It's true. Many of us spend more time thinking about what's for dinner than thinking about retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, Edward Jones agrees, and they can help. Together, they'll give your long-term retirement strategy the attention it deserves. Stop by your local Edward Jones office, one of 7 locations in Cache Valley. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. As you have heard or read or maybe even experienced firsthand yourself, Taylor Sorensen, one of 2 candidates vying against Cameron Cox for the GOP nomination for Cache County Attorney candidate in this race, he sealed the deal. Again, apologies to Democrats and the third parties and more. It's not going to be your year. No candidate remaining to challenge him. Sorensen was successful at the convention of coming in with over 70% of the delegate vote, meaning he avoided a primary with Cameron Cox outright and is the official GOP nominee, and that means he will now advance to the general election on November 5th and will be, I predict very confidently, the next Cache County attorney. Sorensen, of course, had been serving as interim attorney, Cache County attorney, for a while now. And here's just a bit from our conversation. We had Sorensen on, Taylor Sorensen, on our show as a candidate a couple of weeks ago ahead of the county convention where this decision was made. And we had this great exchange, Taylor and I, where I said, trying to be nice, I said, you know, maybe it's too strong to call it a public confidence crisis or a crisis of confidence from the public in county government right now. And Taylor interrupted me and said, I would call it that.
Eyebrows are raised, jaws are dropped when some of the things that have come out. And, you know, something that is important to me, I have deep roots in this county. And my first ancestor who came to Utah came over from Denmark, settled in Menden in like 1859.
Wow.
My wife's family, they settled in Hyde Park and Newton. So, you know, we've got my kids coming down both sides. They've got deep roots in this valley, and it's a place that we care about. And Cache County it's full of good people, and it's full of people who, you know, expect transparency. And I've talked to people. You know, I've had multiple town halls. I've been calling people on the phone, delegates and such. And, you know, when I ask them, I think what they want out of the county attorney's office, I think the number one response that I get is honesty, integrity.
Yeah. People
want to know that they can trust how government is working.
Especially an office like that, similar to at the state level, the state attorney general. I think with your district attorneys, your county attorneys, that people do want to feel confident that office is just going to run smoothly. And I mean, there's a lot at stake in an office
it's
like
true.
that.
And I mean, it's, with the county attorney's office and government generally, it's kind of just this quality of life issue where, you take your garbage out to the curb and you come back from work and you expect it to be picked up.
Yeah,
and,
that's
you expect the sewers to run and you expect the roads to be plowed when it snows, and people expect government to work efficiently. That's why they pay tax dollars, and they want it to work. And when it doesn't work, then people feel frustrated, and justifiably so, that, hey, I'm paying my tax dollars. Why is this happening? And so, I think that's why the office, the other prosecutors and other attorneys in the office and legal assistants made that recommendation to the council to appoint me as the interim when Dane Murray left to go be an NCIS officer and pursue his dream to, go to Hawaii and, basically be a cop. So
to get the experience, right?
Right. He wanted to get that experience, but, the office, they recommended me to be the interim because I think that they were comfortable with my perspective on things, that this county is worth saving. It can be fixed. And I think that we've made great strides to provide a framework for, our employees to succeed and to be
sure.
And there are a lot of good people working in the county, and there are a lot of people who are trying to do the right thing. And, like every organization, every once in a while you get bad apples, but the goal is to hold people accountable. And when you find something that's wrong, you fix it.
That's and in no way to excuse. It's tough for me because and I'm not intimately involved in any of the process or anything like that. But everyone involved in this story, as it's evolved over the last several years, I've had here in the studio. I've gotten along with, enjoyed interviewing, and like you, I don't feel like I've met a bad person in county government, in city government, other than maybe a handful that are long gone. But it does beg the question, I think, that we've been this sleepy county. We've kind of gotten this luxury of sort of sitting back a little bit. And do you feel part of this, again, not to excuse anything that has happened that people like you have been brought in to clean up, is part of this growing pains, getting bigger as a valley, more population, all of that, of course, means that there are more challenges and prioritization needs and demands of every office, from the county attorney's office to the county clerk's office. Is that a part of it? Just kind of trying to navigate who we are as Cache Valley as we grow?
I think that's part of it. I mean, more money, more problems.
Yeah, basically.
That's what a lot of people see. And, the more people that come here, Cache County is a special place, and it has been sleepy in the past, but people see it to be a special place, and they want to move here, and they want their kids to live here.
Sure.
And so we have this natural growth, and we have, additional jobs coming, which is good. You want jobs, you want prosperity.
It's better than shrinking,
right? It's better than dying and wasting away. So we want a place that's good to raise a family, and that it takes effort. Anything worth doing takes effort. And so as we continue to grow, as we continue to mature as a county, and that's kind of the drum that I've been beating, is just we need to mature. We need to get our processes in place where we're actually keeping track of contracts, that we follow bidding procedures, that we, when we're getting rid of surplus goods or, old chairs or computers, that it doesn't just go to some random person that happens to have a in with the county, that we follow a specific process for surplusing old materials, or which seems like a small thing, but it really is. If you take care of the little things, then often the big things take care of themselves. And so
we found that with some of the auditing that was done by the former clerk of just general county practices. It wasn't scandalous, but a lot of money they found could be saved by changing a tiny little thing in the way the recorder's office was doing something, or the way the county council and the recorder's office were. That's what an audit often reveals, right? It's not corruption.
And as we go through those policies and those practices in the county code and get those changed, a lot of those changes are just to provide a framework that incentivizes good behavior, because people, you have to have some faith in humanity, that people generally want to do the right thing, and people want to do a good job. People want to succeed. And so if I, as the county attorney, can help the council and advise them in providing that framework that incentivizes people to do the right thing, then more often people will do the right thing. And the chances, people won't be tempted above that which they're able to withstand, because if someone's checking the money and everyone, the finances go through a process of verification over and over and over. No one's going to see that, hey, there's a loophole here that I can exploit, and they won't be tempted to, pocket some money or something.
That was, again, our interview with Taylor Sorensen, who at the time was a candidate in a pretty heated contest with Cameron Cox at the state or county convention 2 weeks ago. Delegates made their decision, handing Taylor a victory sizable enough. He avoided a primary with Cameron Cox and heads straight to the November 5th election as the Republican nominee. And it is Utah, it is Cache Valley. We know the Republican is going to win this race. So for all intents and purposes, though he would be too humble to say so before the election is played out, Taylor Sorensen, the next Cache County attorney, inheriting quite a situation, a good crew, and some big challenges coming ahead. And that's what he had to say about it all. It's really been a time in Cache County government, to say the least. I do not remember a time where the county government was in the spotlight as often as the county government is prior to the last maybe 2 years. What's behind it, I don't know, but it stems from the county council to the county attorney's office. So best of luck to Taylor, Keegan Garrity, those races that have been decided for the most part at this point. Several races still undecided, and incumbents sent into primaries by county delegates. Cache County Republican delegates letting incumbents on the county council know at the convention they had had enough. So it's going to be an interesting few weeks. And again, the June primary, June 25th, we've got a while, but not as long as you think. So get to know these candidates in the races that are still contested. Taylor Sorensen, his race no longer contested outside of the general. In this nomination, he is the official Cache County Republican nominee for Cache County attorney, meaning he will, barring some really unexpected event, be the next Cache County attorney when the election official makes it official in November. So we'll also check back in later on in the show with both frontrunners in the United States Senate race. Representative John Curtis, current congressman in Utah's 3rd Congressional District, candidate for United States Senate to replace retiring Senator Mitt Romney, and Brad Wilson, former Speaker of the Utah House. These are the two frontrunners, according to yesterday's financial reports. And so, with me out, we will check back in with both Wilson and Curtis in hour 2. So if you want more of the candidates that will appear on your ballots in this June primary, if you're a registered Republican, well, you're going to want to stick around. Also, stick around for these local headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KBNU News Time is 4:30. The news brought to you by You and I Furniture. A federal jury has found Daggett County liable for abuses some former inmates say they suffered while being incarcerated there. After deliberating several days, the jury handed down a split verdict. It found that 3 former inmates had their constitutional rights against cruel and unusual punishment violated. The jury did not find the county liable for a 4th inmate. Altogether, the jury awarded them $352,300. The inmates had accused their jailers of using a taser on them as an initiation to their incarceration. One accused Deputy Joshua Cox of shocking inmates and promising them a case of soda should they withstand the shock for at least 5 seconds. The deputy was also accused of allowing a canine to bite 2 inmates. The situation inside the jail became publicly known in 2017 when the Utah Department of Corrections abruptly pulled their inmates out of the Daggett County Jail. Then Sheriff Jerry Jorgensen resigned as the Utah Attorney General's office brought criminal charges against him and several deputies employed at the jail. Most took plea deals, including Sheriff Jorgensen, though court records show his was later withdrawn after it was found a judge accepted the plea, but it was technically not entered as a judgment. Prosecutors opted not to pursue further charges against Jorgensen, and he retired. The civil case brought by the ACLU on behalf of the inmate stretched over a period of years. There were settlement talks that obviously did not result in any resolution. John Mejia of the ACLU of Utah said he thought the jury sent a strong message that violations of the Eighth Amendment are serious and that counties will be held accountable when they mistreat their prisoners. Some public school teachers could gain new powers to bring concealed guns into Tennessee schools. The legislation given final approval this week comes a year after a fatal shooting at a private Nashville elementary school. A previous law already allowed some private school teachers to have guns. The new measure would expand that to public school teachers who undergo training, clear background checks, and get school permission. The Tennessee measures comes just days after Republican governors in Iowa and Nebraska signed laws that could expand the potential for armed personnel in schools. Meanwhile, lawmakers in some Democratic states are pursuing more gun restrictions. Republican-led legislatures in Kentucky, South Dakota, and Utah also passed measures this year that could expand the ability of some people to bring guns into schools. A bill passed in Wyoming allots $480,000 to reimburse schools for the cost of training employees to carry guns on school property. Conservative Supreme Court justices appear skeptical that state abortion bans enacted after the overturning of Roe v. Wade violate federal health care law, though some also are questioning the effects on emergency care for pregnant patients. The case heard today will determine when doctors can provide abortions during medical emergencies in states with bans approved after the Roe v. Wade ruling. The case comes from Idaho, which is among 14 states that ban abortion at all stages of pregnancy with very limited exceptions. The Biden administration argues that federal health care law says hospitals must be allowed to terminate pregnancies in rare emergencies when a patient's life or health is at serious risk. Idaho contends that goes too far. KVNU News Time is 4:34.
U&I Furniture has been located in the same downtown Logan location for 94 years. That doesn't happen unless you're doing some things right. For 94 years, U&I Furniture has been family-owned, family-operated, and family-supported. For 5 generations, they've been committed to taking care of customers, offering quality products at fair price. Lots of different brands and selections in chairs, mattresses, sofas, dining sets, bedroom furniture, floor coverings, appliances, and more. For 94 years, there's always a better buy at U&I Furniture, U&I in downtown Logan.
ABC News, I'm Daria Albinger. Arizona House members voted to repeal a Civil War-era abortion ban.
The House passed it. Now it will go to the Senate. The Senate has their own bill. They had a second reading to appeal the law. So basically, the Senate won't be meeting until next Wednesday, but that's when we're going to see some big action.
ABC's Jacqueline Lee in Phoenix. U.S. officials say for the first time Ukraine is using long-range ballistic missiles, which were provided by the U.S. They struck a Russian military airfield in Crimea and Russian troops in another occupied area overnight. Another day of pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses across the country. That's a police officer warning students at the University of Texas at Austin to disperse. The protesters kept chanting. The school says at least 10 were arrested. The University of Southern California says it's closing its campus to the public as the demonstrations continue. This is ABC News.
KVNU weather for tonight, mostly cloudy, slight chance of rain showers after midnight, low in the mid-40s. Chance of rain showers Thursday morning, then rain showers and a chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon. Cloudy, cooler, high temperature in the low 60s. Slight chance of storms Thursday evening, then 40% chance of rain showers after midnight. Rain showers likely Friday morning, then showers and a chance of thunderstorms Friday afternoon. Friday's high only in the mid-50s. It's been to 74 today. It's 72 right now at KVNU. Do you want greener, healthier grass this summer? Sign up for Lawn Doctor's 2 service soil enrichment package. Sign up early and get the second service half off. Go to lawndoctor.com, or for more information, call 753-LAWN. And you can always get more details on these and other stories at cashvalleydaily.com.
This is Cheryl bringing you the daily financial market report on behalf of financial advisor Jeff Olson and Edward Jones. This week is the busiest of the earnings season, with about 1/3 of the S&P 500 companies reporting earnings, representing 40% of the index's market capitalization. So far, results have been encouraging, with 80% of the companies surprising to the upside, exceeding earnings expectations by 8.5%. For the full year, earnings estimates are holding steady, indicating that earnings are on track to growth 10.3%, supporting the bull market in stocks. The spotlight this week is on the Magnificent Seven group of mega cap tech names. Tesla results and strategic update are lifting the group today, with the focus then shifting to Meta's results that are coming out after the market close, following Microsoft and Alphabet on Thursday. Profits for the Magnificent Seven are forecast to rise 38% in the first quarter from a year ago, handsomely exceeding the S&P 500's 3% expected earnings growth. However, that outperformance and gap with the rest of the market will likely start to narrow in the back half of the year, which supports Edward Jones' view that the rally will broaden to other companies and sectors that lagged last year. Today, equities closed higher. The Dow closed down 43 points at 38,461. The NASDAQ closed up 16 points at 15,713. The S&P 500 closed up 1 to 5,072. And in the bond market, 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 4.64%, higher by 0.04%. This has been today's financial market report, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIBC, and financial advisor Jeff Olson, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 580 North Main in Logan. If you would like additional information, please contact our branch office at 435-787-8170. Daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
Thursday edition Clay Travis Buck Sexton Show will break down the absolute latest as Donald Trump returns to the courtroom, plus what in the world is going on at Columbia, at NYU, and at other schools across the country. We'll give you the latest there. Plus, Julie Kelly will join us. Major revelations coming out in some of these documents, cases surrounding Trump. We'll break all that down for you. It'll be Clay and Buck, Thursday edition.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM at 610 AM.
CashValleyDaily.com, your go-to source for all things local. Get plugged into the pulse of your community with our comprehensive local news coverage. From city council decisions to feature stories highlighting people in your own neighborhood, we've got you covered. But that's not all. Catch the adrenaline of live, local sports and the latest news involving the Utah State Aggies. Don't miss out on crucial information that affects you and your loved ones on CashValleyDaily.com. Stay informed, engaged, and empowered, because staying local means staying connected.
I love Big Bird. Actually, like you, too.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Jumping backwards in the show here, because Deseret News just published this, but speaking of the Attorney General's race, as we were at the start of the show today, here in hour two, a bit of an update on that. This is a really cool article that Hannah Syriac at the Deseret News has written, asking all of the candidates for Attorney General, Derek Brown, who we spoke with, a Republican candidate, former Utah GOP chair, David Carlson, Democratic Party candidate, Trent Christensen, a Republican who's probably not going to do well. He's actually not qualified to run. It was discovered Trent Christensen does not hold. He's not certified by the Bar Association, which is a requirement of running for Attorney General. Austin Hepworth, an unaffiliated candidate. Andrew McCullough, the traditional Libertarian candidate for this office. Andrew McCullough, one of my favorite guests to interview, and we'll have him on the show soon. He's running again as Libertarian, but a really fun guy. And another Republican candidate, Frank Mylar, also a perennial candidate. Michelle Quist of the United Utah Party. Rachel Terry, another Republican candidate. And ask them all the same question. How will you restore confidence in the office after, including Sean Reyes, 3 attorney generals leaving the office in some form of disgrace? What would you do to restore the public's trust in the state's top cop, the Attorney General? Honestly, just an amazing question. So here are some quick clips from some of their answers. Rudy Bautista, the Democratic Party's candidate, he said public oversight and he said similar to how the Salt Lake Police Department has done it, citizen review boards, and also making public documents easier to find, being more transparent. And Rudy said the Attorney General should also abstain from getting involved in national politics. That's kind of what has taken the wind out of current Attorney General Sean Reyes' sails. So probably good advice there. Derek Brown, who we spoke with in hour 1, answered this question saying, and I wish I'd thought to ask this question, which I did. But if you missed that interview, his answer to us was a little longer, but he repeated the same thing he told us in this interview with the Deseret News. He said, this is an issue of just doing good work. If the Attorney General is doing his or her job, the public confidence just comes with the gig. So basically saying the Attorney General is getting eyes for other things. With Sean Reyes, it was wanting a cabinet appointment from the previous president. For Mark Shurtleff and John Swallow, it was money and rich buddies. But Brown basically saying, look, if you get in and do your job as Attorney General, the public will have confidence in the office. And he said he learned that as state party chair when he kind of came in after a messy administration was ousted as well. David Carlson, another Democratic candidate, said that he knows everyone in the Attorney General's office, and they've dedicated their lives to doing good and serving others. And he thinks that our last 3 Attorney Generals, Sean Reyes, Mark Shurtleff, and John Swallow, have all put their work in a poor light. So he said what he would do is spotlight the day-to-day work of the Attorney General's office staff. Trent Christensen, a Republican, again, this guy, he's going to be on the ballot. It's too late to remove him, but it was discovered this week that he doesn't actually have he's not certified by the Utah Bar Association, which is a requirement for running for this job. So I'm not sure what he was thinking. But anyway, Trent said he would focus the entire office on electoral integrity. And that would restore public trust, he said. So I guess that's an answer. Austin Hepworth, unaffiliated candidate, said the Attorney General is supposed to enforce the law against all who break it, whether it's government officials, corporations, or individuals. But there's a natural conflict or tension in a Republican enforcing law against other Republicans. So Hepworth is saying basically by being an unaffiliated, independent candidate for Attorney General, just him being there as an AG would restore public confidence. All right. Andrew McCullough, Libertarian candidate, again and again and again, but honestly one of my favorite people to interview, so I'm not making fun of the guy. He knows he's not going to win. He runs to make a point and get things injected into the conversation, and he's a smart guy, despite the fact that he's a Libertarian. And if he was listening, he would laugh at that comment. But Andrew McCullough said, I would like attorney generals to be kinder in general, and I would like them to remember they're here to represent the people. But he said to restore public confidence in the office, I would stop the noise, stop the press releases, stop the political grandstanding, and just do the job. So his answer similar to Derek Brown's. And Frank Mylar, another Republican candidate, said, honestly, He said this has to be actionable. It's been 3 attorney generals. They're leaving the office in such tatters. The staff is even feeling depressed by their bosses' incompetence is the word he uses, not necessarily the word I'd use. But he said that Frank Mylar said that what he would do is he wouldn't accept gifts, and he would draw on his experience in management to better manage the office. Michelle Quist, a United Utah Party candidate, said instead of changing the Constitution to appoint an AG, consolidating power in the governor's office, she said that her solution would be to elect third-party candidates like herself, Michelle Quist, United Utah, because they sit outside the 2 major parties. Quist said they would be more independent voice. And then she said to restore confidence in the office, it's going to require increased transparency and communication. Trust depends on it. And finally, Rachel Terry, a Republican candidate, said, at the heart of all of this is increased trust through increased transparency, accessibility, and accountability. I will make sure that there are people in my office who work with the public to answer questions directly and to connect them with resources. So there you have it. All the candidates answering one single question. I like that. I hope we see more of this. In fact, maybe I've got to fill more time, so I've got to ask them multiple questions. But maybe one time we'll do an interview with candidates where I just record their answer to one question, put them all together in a single interview. What do you think about that? If you like that idea, let me know, kvnuftp@gmail.com. But I thought this was great, asking the AG candidates one question: how, after 3 attorney generals leaving office in scandal / embarrassment and shame, how would you restore the public's confidence in the office? And every candidate with kind of a different answer there, but a lot of them going back to transparency and avoiding political aspirations, which was, it turns out, was Sean Reyes' Achilles heel in hindsight, so which is unfortunate. People have asked me what I think about this race, and honestly, this is my only thought. I remember interviewing Sean Reyes as a candidate. The first time he was appointed by Herbert, and then the next year he had to run for the office, and we had him here in the studio, and he was so nice and so sincere and so real. I really believe he meant it when he said he wanted to clean up this office and wash away the stain of Mark Shurtleff and John Swallow putting a for sale sign on it, basically, for 5 years. He meant it. As to what happened in the years since then, I have no idea, but it has been the weirdest career trajectory to watch. And that's really the only thing I ever think when the Attorney General pops up. So if you want to see the full answers from these candidates, I've linked to the story on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more For the People after the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Here's Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
Warmer temperatures have both weeds and grass competing for space in your yard. Dandelions, thistle, clover, morning glory will all be kept under better control when you have us applying pre-emergence and weed control. At the same time, we can feed your grass to make sure it wins the battle and keep it lush and growing all season long. Regular visits from the lawn doctor will help your lawn be healthier and pest-free.
Fertilizer, weed, and pest control. Call Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, at 753-LAWN. Follow them on Facebook or go to LawnDoctorCashValley.com.
The Above and Beyond Salute.
Hello. Yeah, good morning, Michael. My name is Will Feelright. I'm calling on behalf of Firehouse Subs because I want to give you free lunch. Oh, that's nice. I found out from one of our listeners that you're a nurse. Is that correct? Correct. How long have you been a nurse? A little over 14 years. Oh, okay. So what made you want to get into healthcare? Love taking care of people. Hey, appreciate what you do.
The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs on News Talk KVNU.
High school sports are as American as apple pie. And going to a game or meet is a chance to see the stars of tomorrow shine today. But as anybody who's ever attended a high school sporting event in Utah knows, you can't have the stars without the stripes. High schools are currently looking for new officials in almost every sport. Who looks good in stripes? Anybody looking for a way to stay connected to a sport they love. If you like the idea of giving back to your community while earning a few extra bucks, chances are you'd look good in stripes too. We want to hear from you. We need to hear from you. No officials means no games. No stripes means no stars. And what kind of America would that be? Utah needs more high school officials. Go to highschoolofficials.com to sign up or learn more. That's highschoolofficials.com.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. False start there on my part. We won't be able to do this at the end of hour 2 because we're going to be checking back in with the two front runners in the United States Senate race. Brad Wilson, former Utah Speaker of the House and current congressman representing Utah's 3rd congressional district as a federal delegate, John Curtis, Representative John Curtis. We're going to be checking back in with them both in hour 2 so listeners have a chance to hear them back to back. Something we haven't been able to do on the show because of the timing of their interviews. So with me out today, we're going to revisit both of those interviews done days apart 2 weeks ago, back to back, so people can contrast. And again, there is a third person in that race. We will speak with Riverton Mayor Trent Staggs in the future before that June 25th primary if he makes it past convention. But for the sake of time, we're leaving him out today. Financial reports show his campaign a far distant third from Wilson and Curtis's campaigns in fundraising, and a lot of that having to do with getting off to a rocky start, making every sheriff in the state mad with a campaign stunt. You don't really recover from a thing like that in Utah. But we will invite him on the show in the future. Today, we'll revisit the two front runners, according to those campaign financial documents filed yesterday, that show Curtis and Wilson definitely eating up most of the air in the room in this race to replace United States Senator Mitt Romney, not seeking re-election. So with that in mind and that filling most of hour 2, I'm going to wrap up hour 1 with my promised lighthearted news for our listeners. A listener complained a couple of months ago that sometimes the news on the show was, quote, a bit heavy. So I decided that we would make it at least as close to a daily tradition as possible to wrap up the show on something funny or lighthearted. Again, with hour 2 or full, revisiting our interviews with Curtis and Wilson. I'm going to do it here at the end of hour 1. But before we get to the lighthearted part, not lighthearted, but definitely a headline you won't see very often, thankfully. In Indiana, central Indiana, a man who won a Republican primary election for a township board was at the time being charged by the Boone County District Attorney with murder. He was charged with killing his estranged wife and has been found guilty of voluntary manslaughter since the primary, but somehow he was convicted by a Boone County jury on Thursday of last week, but somehow weeks before that, despite this not really being a secret that he'd been charged with murder by the county, somehow it didn't get around to to voters in the district, and this Republican candidate was he won the primary. What the county does now, well, they're trying to decide, to say the least, what should happen in this race for a township representative, roughly the Indiana version of what we call city council members. Again, just not a headline you see every day. Not pleasant news, but not a headline you see every day. Primary winner charged with murder. And that was a thing before he won the primary. Yeah, odd. So, more lighthearted news to wrap up hour 1 here before we head into, again, revisiting our spotlights on both the Wilson and Curtis Senate campaigns here in hour 2 in just a few minutes. AI in the news a lot, and I'm on the fence. I think it's being oversold. I don't think it's ever going to produce what those trying to make it a thing are promising. I think, let's put it this way, I think AI is the self-driving car, the Tesla or the Cybertruck of software and technological advances. It's that thing no one really wanted, but it was hyped so much it became a thing, and then everybody started getting them, and then it's like, this is actually kind of, I mean, you're not supposed to wash the Cybertruck in direct sunlight. Yeah, it was recalled last week because the gas pedal falls apart. I think AI is that. But it's going to be interesting because there is some potential to it. Here's a story, though, about AI that I'll wrap up hour one with here just for fun. But an artisan coffee roastery, I didn't even know that was a thing. Doesn't that sound fancy? An artisan coffee roastery based in Finland introduced a new coffee blend that had been completely developed by AI. This was a limited run roast and trial, similar to the specialty runs that Cache Valley's own Cafe Ibis will do, meaning this isn't something that they ever plan to sell widely. You can only buy the beans and buy the roast of brewed coffee inside their store. But they wanted to do this kind of as a lark and out of curiosity to see what artificial intelligence software would produce. They called it the AI-conic blend, get it? Play on iconic. AI-conic blend, and it was launched last week in Finland at this coffee roasting chain. Interestingly enough, the AI picked a mixture of 4 different types of beans for reasons that the roasters are still trying to figure out. They put in all of these metrics in on how it should choose the roast, what factors it should consider, and it said, here, do this, and then they just did it. And what they found after putting it out to the public, after giving these descriptions of all their different coffee types and flavors that they already had and saying, make us something new to roast, it came up with this Brazilian, Colombian, Ethiopian, Guatemalan bean-based blend for the coffee. And then they put it out for blind testing, and the public response was, this is perfect. Demand for this new roast at this Finland-based roasting company has surged beyond their production capacity. It's been so popular, even though they kept it under wraps that it was developed by software. So, I don't know. It's just a coffee blend, but score one for the machines, should they ever decide to rise up. This Finnish coffee roaster is now making a lot of money off of this software-invented coffee roast blend. Check it out. Full story on this on our Facebook page. On the other side, we'll revisit our spotlights on both the Representative John Curtis and former State House Speaker Brad Wilson Senate campaigns. Coming up next here on KVNU Logan.
Covering all the news. Stay with 610 AM and 102.1 FM. Breaking news and stimulating talk. KVNU.